I am so sick and tired of it. I'm sick and tired of being sick. I'm sick and tired of everything.
Yeah, same. I'm literally sick of living with him because he just... Oh my God.
I even told her mom I didn't want her over here from the last time. And your mama still asked me. I'm being disrespectful. How your mama
murdered my mom and my two sisters when I was like 3 years old. Most people, that parent that murdered the other parent goes to jail automatically.
I don't need no damn therapy. Ain't shit wrong with me. Something wrong with him.
Guys, so listen, I'm here at the restaurant.
Hope you're all doing well. In today's video, we're diving into some real family drama and trauma, the kind of stuff people actually deal with every single day. We're going to break it all down together, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you have a story or some input, drop it in the comments below. This is a safe space. But before we get into it, if you enjoy this kind of content, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. It truly helps more than you know, and it costs you absolutely nothing. Thank you so much, and let's get into it.
Door.
Well, it's his word between yours, and I don't know either one because I'm not here.
Yeah, so you take his word because you just believe everything he says, nothing what I say.
He's a grown man.
Doesn't matter. Everybody has feelings.
His feelings is punching the door. His feelings are breaking both of the doors in the house. His feelings is punching the wall. His feelings is literally running out of the house and saying, "Bye, I'm leaving." Like that is immature. That is embarrassing.
It's to learn to put up with bullshit.
Why is it something I just have to deal with? Why can't he just be a normal person who doesn't make me feel bad about everything?
What can you say?
What?
I am so sick and tired of it. I'm sick and tired of being sick. I'm sick and tired of everything.
Yeah, same. I'm literally sick of living with him because he just...
Oh my gosh. Everything is my fault when he just has anger issues.
You're both of them.
Okay, it's one thing for me to do something bad and then him get mad at me, but it's a different thing when he just gets so mad over the tiniest things, and I'm walking on eggshells all the time because he's always doing this. I have to watch everything I say, or else he's gonna start yelling, he's gonna start punching things, he's gonna leave. Like, that is too much. Like, grown man, by the way.
Yes, you said that 100
Yeah,
times.
because I'm telling you.
I understand. They tell you a little bit of something about men too. They never grow up.
Yes, they do. You're just picking the man baby.
I have to tell both of you I don't want to tell him anything. I don't like talking to him.
Well, grow up! Because I can't deal with it anymore!
I can't deal with it. Anything I say, I get in trouble. You don't understand that. Every single thing I do, I get in trouble. I can't say anything around you guys. This is why I don't talk to you because...
I even told her mom I didn't want her over here from the last time. And your mama still asked me. I'm being disrespectful. So how your mama expect you to listen when she don't listen?
Get out the car.
Get out my car.
She said get out the car.
I'm gonna wait till the police come.
What? Drag her out my car. Get out my car.
Mom, stop.
Get out my... You better get her out of my car.
You want me to take you?
Hi guys, this is my grandma. She's always bullying kids. A 12-year-old girl bullying her, made her sleep out in the living room by herself for no reason at all.
Hello?
Story time on what happened in that video that just went viral. Long story short, my grandma called me and told me my little cousin was coming over to help me with the baby. But my grandma said in order for my little cousin to come in my room, I have to make my bed. So I make my bed up. But then once my little cousin came back there, my grandma said, "I told you not to go back there." So even after me making my bed up, my grandma did not allow my little cousin to come back in my room. And we both were confused. Even her mom was confused because she was supposed to come over to help me with the baby and spend time with me. Like, I barely visit. So we just wanted to spend a little time together, but my grandma was on other stuff. My grandma made her sleep in the living room by herself. And we also had a strange woman in the house that she just randomly went to go get her son friend from up north. And I didn't feel comfortable with my little cousin sleeping out there with the lady because the lady is strange. We don't know this woman. So with that being said, the next morning my little cousin came in my room. And that threw my grandma off. That triggered my grandma. My grandma flipped out, and that's when she came in and said, well, like what she was doing in the video, so where do you want me to take you? Because you finna go home. Like, she said, you gotta go. You gotta go. You went in her room, you gotta go. Like, simple. That's what happened in the video. But we all confused, because why did you have her come over to make her sleep on the couch? I was like, I was mad because it's like, dang, you really had her sleep on the couch? Like, you just doing too much. She did not do anything. Like, you just had her come over to bully her. So that's what happened in the video. And
I remember the first time I was like, oh, I can't trust my mom with the truth. She has an extremely controlling mindset. She has to be in control because of the way she was brought up. She was never in control. Her father was a belligerent drunk, her and her sisters. It's the 3 girls. She was the middle one. She got abused the worst, and it was very, very, very bad physical abuse. Anyway, her way of controlling me and my situation was to tell me that I could go out to dinner and entrust her with my daughter. And of course, this is my firstborn. I've never seen my mom as a grandma before. And so I didn't have a blueprint of what to expect or what to know or what, But I vividly remember this was the first time I started feeling like, that's not right. I had left my 3-year-old with my mom, and me and my husband went out to dinner. We actually did that often. We left her with my mom a lot. My mom wanted that a lot. She was always like, oh, just leave her with me. I'm the grandma. But I almost felt like she was trying to remother me in a weird way, like almost relive her mothering days by mothering my kid. We came back home from dinner, and my daughter says to me, Harmony, that's what she calls her. Harmony means grandma in Korean. Harmony was mean to me. And she could barely talk because she's 3. She was a slow talker, but she could say that. And I said, Mom, were you mean to her? And my mom goes, like, bright-eyed. She goes, no, like, super innocently. No, I don't even know why she's saying that. And she's just looking at my daughter in shock. She goes, I wasn't mean to you at all. I said, what happened, baby? She's, like, trying to tell me she was angry. She had, like, this horse toy, and she threw it, and the head broke off. And she said, Harmony was mean to me. I said, did she yell at you? She's like, no. I said, was she screaming? Was she mad? Like, what did she do? How was she mean? My 3-year-old couldn't explain it. She couldn't. But I knew. My mom goes, 얘 거짓말쟁이구나. 어머나 세상에. She's lying. Right in front of her, pointing her finger at my daughter. At my 3-year-old. Now, something that a narcissist does really well is rallying. They like to rally the troops to be on her side. That never sat right with me. I said, so what did you do after the head broke off? My mom goes, I didn't do anything. I just said, okay. And I knew, I was like, she gave her the silent treatment. My mother used to give me the silent treatment for 2 months. For something small that I did that she didn't approve of. Dyeing my hair blonde, not passing a class in high school. By the way, I didn't pass that class in high school because she forced me to work for her. And she said I didn't pass because I was stupid. She always has her own narrative of how and what things happened. That's when I stopped really trusting her. You know what I mean? With my kid. Now, my daughter doesn't remember that, but you better believe that I remind her every day now. Because somebody once said on here, you gotta break the news, girlfriend, that her grandma is not always kind. Otherwise, you're gonna be the bad guy in her narrative. I don't wanna be petty. She will fully know why and what I am protecting her from.
My dad murdered my mom and my 2 sisters when I was like 3 years old. Most people, that parent that murdered the other parent goes to jail automatically, right? No get out of jail free cards, do not pass go, do not collect, straight to jail. My dad didn't go to jail until 8 or 9 years after the murders. Yep, 8 years I lived with that man. We also moved right after those murders. We went straight to Las Vegas, me and my brother and my dad, but we actually drove with our deceased mom and sisters in our van all the way to Vegas, where he decided to dump the bodies in the desert. Apparently he went to the Boulder Station Casino, he looked out from the top part and decided where he was going to bury them. Didn't know was that eventually a big water plant was going to be built there, and so they found the bodies. Now at the time there hadn't been any missing reports of 3 Asian women, so it was kind of hard to identify them, and apparently they were in pretty bad shape when they came in. Long story short, and if you guys want me to go into more detail about things that have happened, that's for another video. The Downey PD in California decided to reopen a cold case that led to Las Vegas, and that's where they found us. That was a lot. Are you guys keeping up? Okay, put your listening ears because there's more. So when Las Vegas found my mom and my 2 sisters, they put her and my 2 sisters in a cemetery plot, and they put them down as Jane Does, because at the time they didn't know who they were. So when we finally linked everything together, they found where my sisters and my mom was buried. And after some time, the foster family that I lived with at the time helped my brother and I have like a memorial service for her, where there's friends that came, the detectives from California came, the detectives from Las Vegas came, and it was like a way to give us some semblance of a closure, even though it really wasn't closure because we still have a lot of answers till this day, but it helped a lot. Now when we found them, they were all Jane Doe, Jane Doe, and Jane Doe. My foster family ended up buying gravestones for all 3 of them with their names, so they ended up going from Jane Doe's to Edith, Luce, and Gabby. It was nice to just have a place that we could visit whenever we wanted to like feel close. At the age of 18, I booked it out of Vegas, so I have not lived in Las Vegas since I was 18. I am 36 now. Bad memories. Every time I come to Vegas, I go to visit my mom and my sisters, even with my kids now. Now, I just went to Vegas this past month, and I went to go visit my mom and my 2 sisters with my kids. And their gravestones have been just deteriorated, like beat up from the sun. There are 2 of them where you can barely make out the names anymore, and one of them is pretty much on its way there. Did what any normal person would have done. I asked ChatGPT, what do I do? I called the cemetery to see what my options were. I kind of have been going on this back and forth thing because they don't have the names in the system. They don't know where they are. And again, I'm not in Las Vegas. I live in Arizona. So this morning I hopped on a call with the guy, and he FaceTimed me so that I can walk him to where they are. Shout out to Zachary from Paul Mortuary. Now, before he went out there, I have been kind of leaving breadcrumbs about the situation, right? Hey, they came in as Jane Doe's, they were murdered, and then we found their bodies like way after the fact, after we were able to locate them. And the gravestones were put in after the fact. So with all that information, he just was not able to pin them down and where they were. Now, after Zachary and I got off the phone, he went straight to work. And he found out that the plot that they are in is owned by the county. So I don't know what that means, but that doesn't sound like I have any rights to it. But then he also informed me that the gravestones are under my foster parents' names. I've been at like no contact with them for years. He now has to call my foster parents, see if they can give me the rights of the gravestones, and he's gonna try to get a hold of them. And he's like, hey, do you guys have a good relationship? Because sometimes things like this get messy. And I'm like, oh. And I've spoken to him here and there. I mean, we've had a foster child also get murdered, and we've had a wedding we've had to be cordial at, but are we on the best of terms? No. Like, who else does this happen to? Like, this has just been a continuous pattern for me where like my story, my upbringing, my family, my life has never been my own. I've never had the rights to anything. Quite the journey that I'm going on just so that I can figure out how to replace my mom and my 2 sisters' gravestones. I think after a lot of years, it would just get easier to deal with like the constant like, well, we need to prove who you are and blah, 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 and not having a semblance of normalcy when it comes to any kind of family. So anyways, you gotta laugh. This doesn't happen to a lot of people. Wish me luck. We'll see what happens.
You're harassing my ass. You too worried about my ass. That's the problem. Maybe that's the problem. You too worried about my ass. Is that the wrong? Is that the problem? Is that the problem? You too worried about my ass? Oh, you're obsessed with my ass. That's why you in here harassing me at 1 o'clock in the morning in front of my daughter. Take your ass in there and go to sleep. Go to sleep. You left your mind in your room on the pillow. Go get it. Go get it. Go.
Totally got things fucked up.
Go.
Seriously.
Go.
That's always been your
Can you
problem.
go? Can you go? Can you go?
You
love my ass.
No.
You're obsessed with my ass.
Get
as a matter of fact.
You really?
Yes.
Really, Mercedes?
Absolutely.
I don't like nothing about your ass.
Duh. So can you get out the room with my ass? How about that? I've never seen somebody who don't like my ass so much that they in here harassing me at 1.
On another video telling me how much you hate my lips. Why am I even here? Why do I spray you? Why have I allowed you to do this to me? Why?
I have no idea who even fucking called the police saying that I had a knife. There had to be a nigga downstairs. I promise you, it had to be him. When he's sitting around telling the whole point. No, I'm listening to what.
I don't care who called what. Do you realize what just happened? Do you realize that you attacked me in front of my daughter with some scissors and choked me in front of my daughter, then pointed in her face and told her to get the fuck out your house? You attacked me and my daughter. Do you realize that? Mm-hmm. And the only thing you can keep coming in here saying is who called the police. I have congestive heart failure. And when I say the $150,000 that you're trying to get, that's why I say that, because who in their right mind does this? Who does it? Who does it? You're trying to kill me. You're trying to kill me.
Oh my God.
You just tried to kill me. You just tried to kill me. You just charged me with scissors and choked me.
Mercedes, your mouth is horrible. Your mouth is horrible.
I don't care. My mouth's horrible because I told you to get out of my room?
No, your mouth's been horrible all day.
And you've been horrible all day and all of your life. Okay. So what? Okay. I did not put my hands on you. Mm-hmm. And you want to lose everything. You do. You want to lose everything. You don't care no more. I know, I can tell.
I don't.
I can tell.
I'm tired.
I can tell. But I ain't the one that you should have took it out on. Because I ain't did nothing but love you since I've been here. I have took all your blows. You don't even know what love is. So why you bucking your eyes like that, I have no idea. But I have done nothing but love you since I've been here. And you steady coming in here, and you steady coming in here, and you steady coming in here. What do you want from me? What do you want from me? You don't even know why you hate me so much.
I don't hate you.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't.
To charge me with scissors and choke me in front of my daughter, then you on video telling me you hate me? Who are you fooling? Mm-hmm. You don't even know why you hate me so much.
Your fucking mouth.
And all the shit you done to me in life, and I still don't hate you.
Yeah.
That's why you hate me, because I'm not like you. That's why you hate me, because I'm nothing like you, because I got a good heart. And I'm okay with who I am. As much as you all the dirt and shit you tried to drown and bury me, and I still come back to love on you. That's what you hate. You hate love. You hate love. But it's okay. It's okay.
So I cut you with the scissors. That's what I did. I have no idea who called the police. Because I did not.
You don't know you cut me with the scissors?
No.
You don't know that you charged me with scissors?
I did.
And I had to defend myself and restrain you? You don't know that? You wasn't here for that?
No, I was here.
So why are you asking me, did you cut me with scissors?
I
Did you know
don't.
you charged me with scissors?
Let me see.
You don't see the blood down my arm right there? That, I shouldn't have nothing. This, a cut, that's blood.
Okay, so I got you with the scissors.
Yes, you did. Wow. Wow. Wow.
That was wrong for that. I did not call the police. I did not. I did not call the police. I did not call the police.
No, I did.
And I don't even, to me, for him to come, Mercedes, honestly, I did not call the police. I did not. Because I told you I would never put you out. And I did not call the police. And so for me, for him to sit down there and play stupid and dumb like he did not call, he did call me. And he claimed that you went up and down the streets.
I don't want to hear that shit. I don't want to hear that shit. You know exactly what's going on, and for you to keep even coming in here blaming this shit on me.
I did not blame nothing.
You shouldn't even be passing a message like that because you know what it is.
I
But
know
you
what
always
it is.
want to kick me. You hate me. And that is
No,
ridiculous.
Mercedes,
That's ridiculous.
Oh my
That's
God.
ridiculous. Leave me alone.
I'm not
I have
bothering
congestive
you.
heart failure. You want to take me from my kids? You want to take me from my kids? You hate me so much. You want to take me from my kids? That's crazy.
Yes, I
That's
know I do not want to
crazy.
take you from your kids.
That's crazy.
I do not want to take you
If I
from your
ain't paid
kids.
away for my kids, I paid away for them. I'm going through this all my life. You want to take my kids?
I take the kids.
You poke Marissa all in her head.
I did not. Marissa, I poked you in your head. Marissa, I poked you in your head.
Why are you under the influence? Are you on drugs? Why don't you know what's going on?
I did not poke her in her head. I told her to stay up here.
Ma, you just told me you ain't know you stabbed me with some scissors.
Okay, Mercedes, I'm done.
You should have been done. I should have been done. I should have told them police what happened. I should have told them.
I did not stab you with no knife.
You stabbed me with scissors.
But I did not stab you with a knife, so that was not a lie.
It would have been corrected because you stabbed me with scissors. You stabbed me with scissors. It's the same thing. It's a weapon. You did it in front of my daughter. Do you know how dysfunctional that is? Do you know how much hate that is for you to keep attacking me in front of my kids and put my kids through this? Do you know how much hate that takes? Do you know how evil that is?
I'm gonna stop coming in your room.
You're gonna stop coming around me, period.
Yes, I am.
I know, I said you're finna stop coming around me, period.
Yes, I am.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
guess I am. But I did not call the police. If you say you didn't call him, I didn't call him, then he had to call him, and I'm done. No, I'm just. Okay, whatever. Okay, whatever.
I don't need no damn therapy. Ain't shit wrong with me. Something wrong with him.
Guys, so listen, I'm here at the restaurant about to meet my mom again. She called me, she was mad. The job has called her, and this has gone way viral. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. She's just really upset, y'all.
People calling me, people coming to my house. You got my life in jeopardy, boy. I ain't never did nothing to you.
Monica, what is the deal? What is going on? I'm trying to figure out, why you keep doing this to him?
Who is you?
I'm his friend.
Okay, well, I don't give a damn about a damn friend. You don't know what's going on. I advise you to back the hell up. You got people calling me, they threatening me, and I want to know what the hell is going on.
Monica.
You got me on this damn social media.
Monica, calm down.
You got me on this damn social media doing all kind of shit to me. You are trying to cause me harm, and I don't fucking like it.
No, he's not. He just wants a resolve.
People have called my house and asked if I could come to therapy. They have called my house.
You might need some
I
therapy.
don't need no damn therapy. Ain't shit wrong with me. Something wrong with him.
What's wrong with him?
Everything.
What?
Everything.
What is wrong with him?
Look at him.
It's the trauma that you done put him through.
I haven't put him through nothing. I gave him a life.
Wait, hold on. What's happening?
You gave him a life?
Hold on. Life.
Wait, why we outside these people?
And that's a life. I brought him in the world.
And the older I get, the more I realize that my mom was not a good mom. And it doesn't take away the fact that she was a good person. She had good characteristics. She had good qualities. She just wasn't a great mother. And unfortunately, that's a lot of our stories, especially, us millennials that's growing up, because we got raised by parents that felt like if we had a roof over our head and we had food in our mouth and we had clothes on our back, that's all that was needed. But the emotional part of parenting was left out completely. I was exposed to too much at a young age. I was taught things that I feel like I shouldn't have been taught. As soon as I was taught those things, I grew up a lot faster than the majority of people. I've always had a more mature mindset because I never had a choice not to be mature and not to grow into the woman that I am today. I learned how to cook early. By 6, 7 years old, I was cooking full course meals, and I was learning how to steal out of stores and how to get money and how to do it as a kid, as a child. And I don't fault my mama for these things, because what she tried to do was raise me up on survival, so I will always know how to survive if I was put in a case where I didn't have, or I had to figure out how to go get. And don't get me wrong, I'm a beast in these streets when it come to figuring some shit out because of my mama, but I figured it out how to do it in a legal, more prosperous way. I figured out my way. So I took what she gave me and I turned it into something positive. And, so I'm not saying that everything that was taught to me was bad, but what I'm saying is that doesn't make her a good mother because she taught me these things. There were better ways to teach me how to survive and teach me how to live and teach me how to be on my own than what I was taught, is what I'm saying. And that doesn't take it away the fact that she was a great person. She had very good qualities, but she didn't know how to tap into the goodness that she had to provide to the world because she was so focused on surviving and so focused on always making it to the next day. And I don't fault her for that, because I give her grace, because all she knew was what she knew. And once we start to give our parents grace and say they're doing this life shit for the first time too, they're doing this parenting shit for the first time too, and until they realize that they're the problem and they have to heal their traumas in order not to pass those generational curses on to their children, they will never fix the issue. But once I realized what was happening in my family, I made the conscious decision to say it stops here. Like, my child would not know none of the shit that I knew at that. My child is 6 years old, right? She green as fuck. I asked her what square up was, and she said, I think it's doing a split. She don't even know about fighting. And that's how I want to keep it. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how, she never seen confrontation in my house. That's how I want to keep it.
But I'm saying all this to say that we have to start admitting that our parents were not great parents in order for us to heal and grow from this childhood trauma. It's okay. It's a part of life. But you have to be grown enough to say that childhood trauma that was passed on to me, it stops here. It goes no further.
I done filed my eviction notice. You got 7 days. 7. To get your stuff and call whoever you need to call to get out my house. So, you know what you gonna do? But you done got they'll be serving you.
It's 2:30 in the fucking morning.
Okay. What's going on?
I'm not sure.
Okay. So we were worried that you were, I guess you have a history of some mental health issues that you've been diagnosed with. We were worried that you might be having some sort of issue with your health. So we were here to make contact with you just to make sure.
Somebody called you and said something was wrong with my health?
Yeah, your mental health. We're here to make sure you're doing okay.
I'm okay.
You're okay?
Yeah. Zanaya Hutchinson.
Zanaya Hutchinson? Okay. So there's some paramedics outside. They need to just come in, and you can tell them no if you don't want them to check you out or whatever, but they still need to talk with you. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, are you on any sort of
medicine? No.
Medicine,
I'm full blown.
Okay.
Pregnant.
Okay, so you're not on anything right now?
No.
Okay. Do you have a history with that kind of stuff?
A history that she created?
A history.
Or like taking any sort of medications before?
My mom was, she was calling the police on me multiple times and telling them that I was suicidal, and y'all basically was taking me out of the house every time she called.
Okay. Have you been having any sort of thoughts like that, or?
No.
Have you had any sort of history with that at all?
No.
No.
This is crazy.
Yeah. So like I said, we're.
I don't fuck with my family. I don't fuck with my siblings, my aunts, my uncles, my cousins. I didn't fuck with my grandmother when she was here. My family is under this demonic spell, and the person who left this spell on my family was my grandmother. She will cause so much strife in the family, gossiping every day like it's a 9 to 5 amongst her grandkids, causing us to hate one another, fight one another. That's witchcraft. That's demonic. And guess what? She was Christian. Did that surprise you? Because Christians are your witches and warlocks. They are the demonic ones. They're demons. You know, they like to demonize us spiritual people and call us demons for wearing our crystals and things like that and being out in nature and shit. They're gaslighting and they're projecting who they are onto us because they know that we're here to break all that illusion, you know, to break these curses of religion and Christianity. It's over with. Anyway, my grandmother knew that I was the chosen one in my bloodline to break these curses. She once created this story, this lie about me. She said that someone left a letter on her doorstep saying, calling her bitches and hoes, and this letter was a very bad letter, a nasty letter. And she told the whole family that it didn't have a name on it, but the whole Holy Spirit told me that Tara was the one to have written her this letter and left it there. She said the Holy Spirit. That's witchcraft. That's demonic. And guess what? There was never a letter. My cousin just confessed this 2 years ago after my grandmother passed away, that there was never a letter on my grandmother's doorstep. She just confessed this. And mind you, my grandmother accused me of doing this 12 years ago. And I haven't spoken to her ever since, even when she was transitioning at the hospital. My family calling me on the phone saying that, oh, she wants to see you. Come see her before she leaves here. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I don't fault my family. I don't. I stay far away from them. Do I love them? I don't really know. You know, I try not to get my emotions involved, because if I did, it would be, you know, difficult for me to break these generational curses in my family. My aunt even knew who I was. She tried to cause my mom to have a miscarriage by putting a spell on my mother when she was 6 months pregnant with me. That's just how deep this shit goes. We don't talk about it enough. Our family be the ones putting spells on us and rituals and sacrificing us for another family member to live longer. It exists. In the Black community, grandmothers are known for putting olive oil on our forehead, like as a blessing to pray for us and things like that. But the whole time they was not praying for us. They was cursing us because they were keeping us under this spell. They put that olive oil right on our third eye to block it. Do y'all understand me? This whole time, our grandparents were the one keeping us under this demonic spell called religion, Christianity. They agreed with the system to do this shit. They participated. Y'all don't know how deep and dark this shit really goes.
Marry for love, they say. Let me tell you what marrying for love got me. The other day, I look outside. It's nice and bright. The sun is out. The grass is green. The birds are chirping. The flowers have bloomed. And for once in a very long time, I said, why don't I decide to go work out outside? You know what I mean? Why don't I go soak up the rays, the vitamin D, in hopes it would cure my anxiety? Oh my God, spoken word poetry. Oh, write it down, write it down, write it down. While I'm outside, I'm in the flow of things. You know what I mean? I'm out here jumping rope, light on my feet, floating like a butterfly, stinging like a bee. You know me, Muhammad Ali. Oh my God, that also rhymed. God, she is on fire. She is on fire. I get done working out and I collect my things to go back inside the house. As I turn the doorknob, it's locked. It's locked. Who locked it? Me. Guess who can unlock it? Not me, because I forgot my keys indoor. But guess who's home? Guess who's home? The baby daddy, the booski. So I press on the doorbell that's connected to the intercom and I said, hey babe, can you please let me in? I forgot my keys. Now what does this man say? What does this man say to me through the intercom? Does he go, of course my melanated queen, I would be happy to let you in. No! Oh, you forgot your keys. Look at you, clumsy, clumsy woman forgot her keys. Do you remember the last thing you said to me last time when I forgot my keys? Dan, please just open this door. It is hot outside. Oh, no, 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 no. Remember you told me the last time I forgot my keys that I'm a big boy, that I need to figure it out, and that if my head was not attached to my body, I would leave my head at home. And guess who left their head at home today? Now at this point, I'm annoyed. I am pissed off, I'm annoyed, I'm perturbed, because what do you mean we're having this conversation through the intercom? I'm standing outside in the streets of the suburbs, 4C hair starting to revert because it's hot, it's sweaty, I'm sticky, and instead of letting me in, we're now having a back and forth through the intercom. At this point, we start going in on each other, just roasting each other left, right, and center. I am calling him an ashy-knuckled Goliath with no middle name, who has the audacity of a man with a receding hairline to leave me outside, to go back and forth with me instead of just opening the door in this heat. That's crazy to me, that's crazy to me. We're going back and forth. And then this man literally goes, look at you standing outside, you're ashy, and you're sweaty, and you forgot your keys. Pause. Me ashy? Me ashy. Sir, let's take a look at those knuckles. Let's take a look at those elbows. Let's take a look at those kneecaps. Sandpaper, it is blasphemous and slander, defamation to say that I'm standing outside ashy? And then he goes, you know, for all this time, you could have gotten the spare key and come inside the house? Why didn't you tell me about this in the first place? I completely forgot that I had a spare key. I get the spare key, open up the door. As I'm opening up the door, I get a text message from this man. I open up my phone and I get a picture of what you may ask? Of what you may ask? A bloody photo of me going off on him through the security camera. Did I go off on him? Yes. Did he also have a fruit smoothie waiting for me after my workout? Also yes.
Our hoe bag boomer mamas thought they were going to go to the grave with these secrets, but technology is letting the skeletons out of the closet. I know I've already told this story before, and that's what actually made me go viral for the first time on TikTok, but I'm going to go ahead and tell it again since you are new here. So one day when I was 28, I took a DNA test because some of my dad's cousins asked me to. He had already passed away, and they didn't really know anybody else in the family that would do it. I did it and waited, and my results came back, and I was like, hey, what's going on? And he's like, I didn't get any notification. Uh-oh. They're like, well, you know, a couple things could have happened. Could be you're not your dad's biological daughter, or something else could have happened in the family. Maybe your grandma lied. I don't know. So I get grandma to do a DNA test, and she and I don't match. Now, this is not surprising to me because my mother was married 9 times and had 4 children with 4 different men. So I got a DNA detective, and she found out real quick who my real father was. He died in prison. He was in there accused of murder. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part was that my last name was actually the same as my husband's baby mama. Since she had kids with my husband and so did I, that could have possibly been a disaster if she was my sister or even closely related. Our kids would have been siblings and cousins. So I get her to take a DNA test, and then her mama is like, turns out she does belong to her daddy, and we are not related, even though we still have the same last name. Our parents are from the same area. Just a big old dang coincidence. I have 2 brothers I didn't know about. One confirmed with a DNA test that he's my brother. The other one, I don't know about him. We talked on the phone, everything was fine, and then he disappeared. My mother told me I was just crazy for believing a DNA test, that I was being scammed. It took a long time to get the truth out of her, even though I already had it right there in front of my face, but I just wanted her to admit it. I wasn't even really mad that I didn't belong to the family that I thought I belonged to. I was kind of relieved. I was just mad that she thought I was stupid. She finally admitted that she got knocked up behind a Waffle House where she used to work, and she didn't know which one of the dudes was my daddy. So fast forward 6 years now, my sister, half-sister, we already knew she was my half-sister. We thought we all had 4 different dads, and then she took a DNA test, and she found out that her dad that died also is not her biological father, and she has a biological father that's alive, but he doesn't care about the situation. He just wanted to keep it hush-hush. I've got 2 brothers that I grew up with. The oldest one, he knows who his dad is now. He wasn't really sure for the first 30 years of his life until I got on Facebook and found some dude in Japan that my mother claimed was his father, and they did a DNA test, which you didn't really have to because they look identical. And that lucky bastard got to be a part of his dad's family, and they all get along all hunky-dory. That leaves 1 brother, baby number 2 of my mother. He has a unique last name, and he found 1 ancestor somehow linked on his first DNA test that he did with Family Tree DNA, but since Ancestry and all that came out, he's kind of wanting to do it, but I don't know if he will or will not. I don't really talk to him. If he does take one, I'm sure he'll update us and let us know if he is or is not who he thinks he is. There are a ton of people like me who absolutely have no idea who their real biological father is, and it doesn't matter how much you think you look like your daddy. I thought that I was the spitting image of my daddy until I saw who my real daddy was. Same thing with my sister. She has a lot of the same sicknesses that her dad that's not her biological father has. So anybody that's about 25 and up, you might want to get a DNA test and be prepared for what you're about to find out. My mother's friends and co-workers from Waffle House used to call all 4 of us Waffle House babies, and we just didn't realize that they meant it literally. My mama worked at the Waffle House on 6th Avenue in Decatur, Alabama since like forever, I think since the 70s. It was always her backup job. Anytime she got fired or got lazy and quit another job, she'd go back to Waffle House because she knew they'd accept her. I don't know why they liked her so much. I mean, I'm sure she brought a lot of business there, but it wasn't a good reputation. Now that I think about it, she probably went there anytime she needed a new baby daddy. Her friends called us Waffle House babies, and we would call them like aunt and uncle. Come to find out 20 years later, we probably actually are related. According to my mother, the Waffle House conception story is that she worked at a bar next to the Waffle House, and she used to meet up with this guy named Kenny in a white truck behind the Waffle House. He couldn't go into the bar anymore because my dad that I thought was my dad that's not my biological father, that one would have beat his ass. So she'd be messing around with my daddy in the club, and then she'd go out the club, and then she'd go over there to the Waffle House parking lot and mess around with my other daddy, my biological one. And that's how I became the Waffle House baby. What's even funnier is that my mom and all of her baby daddies and exes used to just hang out in the Waffle House together. Like, they all knew each other, and they were just all hunky-dory.
I guess this will be story time part 1. I am going to preface this video by telling you that I'm going to reveal some embarrassing information that happened to me And everything that I'm about to tell you is my experience. This is what happened to me. So I'm going to start at the beginning. And that's why this is going to be a long video, because this is a year that this went on. So we have to go all the way back to June, July of 2024. My husband and I were laying in bed one night, and he just out of the blue said to me, I don't think I can, I'm worried that I'm going to hurt myself because I'm crumbling under the financial pressure of this relationship. And I said, what do you mean? You know, he paid all the bills. I had my own business, and all the money that I made went into buying groceries and to growing my business, okay? He paid all the bills, so we had separate bank accounts. We lived in a home together that we purchased with my mom. She put in $251,000 cash as a down payment on our home. We put in like $38,000, I think, when we bought it together. When my mom passed away, I inherited her portion of our home. Okay, so I just want to preface that in this video. So we're laying in bed. He tells me this. He tells me that we're in debt. And he's maxed out all of our credit cards. And he's maxed out our home equity line of credit, which was $50,000. And I had no idea what he had maxed out the home equity line of credit, because like I said, we had separate bank accounts, all the bills were in his name, so he took care of all the financial stuff. All my money went towards my business and home expenses as far as things around the house. So I'm mortified. I don't know how to fix the situation. So in my mind, I'm like, you know, I'm not mad about the money. I'm thinking, how can I fix this? How can I save my husband if he's thinking about hurting himself? So fast forward to August, and I get a phone call from my daughter, and she asks me if I'll fly out to Virginia. We were living in Idaho at the time. If I would fly out to Virginia to help paint her house. She had acquired a home from her dad when he passed away, and it got picked up on a television show. And they were doing a 30-minute series on her home, the renovation of it. It's on the Magnolia Network. They had a deadline. She called me up and she said, would you come out and paint? I need help painting. We're not going to get the house done in time for the taping. Please, will you come out and help me? So the next day I got on a plane and I flew to Virginia. And for 2 weeks, I stayed at my daughter's house and I painted the whole entire home. 3 floors, doors, all the stuff, trim, like everything that they needed me to do. On the day that they were taping the show, I was still painting. Like I was painting from 6 o'clock in the morning until 11 o'clock at night some days. Just me by myself. So I save the day. We do the taping. While I'm there, I'm telling my daughter about what my husband had shared with me about the money and how he's concerned about harming himself. Well, she had just acquired this house, and this huge house. Now she's got a mortgage payment. So she says, why don't you guys come live with me and my boyfriend? They were living in the house together. Why don't you come live with us, and I can get your husband a job at the place where I work, and you guys can live with us for a little while, pay off your debt, and then you can buy a house here or whatever. Well, I wanted to do that. That sounded like an amazing idea. And so I went home, I talked to my husband about it, and he was like, no, absolutely not at first. So then I convinced him to, at least talk to the guy, talk to the owner of the company. So he talks to the owner of the company, okay? And the company is a home construction company, and there's 4 employees at this place. And my daughter's one of the employees, okay? So it's super small. And oh, by the way, I want to preface this video by letting you know that while we were living in Idaho, and for 7 years that we were living there, my husband worked for my brother's company. That's been in my family my whole life. My grandfather started it. So he was working for my family business when we left, moved to Virginia, and started staying with my daughter. So he takes the job interview on a Thursday. And on Friday, the guy offers him the job. On Sunday, he's on a plane to Virginia to stay with my daughter and to start his new job. I stay behind in Idaho for 8 weeks to sell all of our home, to put it on the market, to show it, to pack all of our everything up. Meanwhile, I'm still running my businesses. I have an art studio, I teach online, and I had a dog sitting business. So I was taking care of both my businesses, trying to wrap up our home and everything, while he just picked up, went and started his new job, and began living with my daughter and her boyfriend. So they're working at the same company, okay? So for 8 weeks, I'm just living my life out in Idaho, like, you know, thinking I'm getting ready to sell my dream home. I'm going to live with my daughter. We're going to travel. We're going to get to spend time with my kids. It's going to be amazing. And I'm so excited. So I get there, 8 weeks I spend packing up everything. His new job is going great, apparently, and I'm just super happy to get there. So I drive myself all the way across the U.S., pulling a U-Haul, me and my dog, with half of our stuff. And I leave the other half in our garage in Idaho. So I get there, and I've been on the road for 4 days, mind you, okay? And they've known I'm coming for 2 weeks. And I get there with a tiny little U-Haul, expecting them to have a room cleared out for me to unpack my office so I can get to work. And they haven't even cleaned the room out. So I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm going to leave the stuff in the U-Haul till however long. Like, I've just driven cross country. I'm exhausted. They acted like they weren't even happy that I was there. So I argued with my daughter for 3 days about unpacking my stuff. And she's like, you need to paint that room before you can move in. I want this room painted and cleaned up before you move in your stuff. So I was like, okay. So I end up leaving all my stuff in the U-Haul. Basically, I unpack some stuff in around her house, and I'm forced to have to now paint this office before I can set up my stuff to work. Well, right out of the gate, things are weird. I'm being given the silent treatment. I can tell there's like this hostility from my daughter towards me. She's upset that I'm smoking cannabis, which is ridiculous because she smokes it and so does her boyfriend. The few times that she would talk to me, it would always be to complain either about something I was doing in the house, cleaning the floors wrong, using the wrong cleaning products, or something her boyfriend was doing. She hated that he lived there. She wished she could kick him out, but she needed his money because she got this giant house and now she's got like a $2,000 a month mortgage payment. She can't afford the house by herself. That's why we kind of were like, we can help her out. She can help us out. Anyway, she constantly complained about her boyfriend because he drank too much. She hated that he drank. They were constantly fighting about the fact that he was drinking. Well, he hated his life because she was miserable to him. She didn't love him. She didn't want him there, but she knew she couldn't afford it without his money. So I'm going to go to part 2. Okay, so this is the part 2. So we are in roughly December. Christmas was lovely. My son, who is an adult, also came over, spent Christmas with us. It was amazing. Then in January, we got a phone call that our house in Idaho, while it was on the market, flooded. It had a flood. And before the realtor found out what was going on, they pumped out something like 55,000 gallons of water out of our house. It was a complete nightmare, and we were trying to deal with that from Virginia in Idaho. And my husband is a construction project manager. My ex-husband was. And he told me not to worry about anything. He would take care of all of the things that were involved with that. So fast forward to February, and my daughter still is just really hostile towards me. My husband is starting to become distant. They are constantly just like at the dinner table laughing with each other. But if I try to get in on the conversation, it was like you could immediately tell that I wasn't welcome in it. They were always talking about their job and laughing together. And it was like this real buddy club, but I wasn't included. So I had been asking my husband several times to please stop talking to my daughter about our marriage. He was basically using her to confide in for all of our problems. And because she had issues with me and wanted me to do things that I refused to do for her, as far as my life goes, You know, the two of them were at work during the day. They were texting each other. Then they, you know, were at work together during the day, could be talking about planning. Come to find out, they've been, you know, for months before I even knew about this. I found out about this after the fact, that both of them had been smearing my name to my family, to my father, to my brothers, to my best friend, to people around town, just telling them that I was lazy, that I refused to get a job, that I maxed out all of his credit cards and I got him in all this financial debt and I'm addicted to drugs and all of this shit. The two of them were doing unbeknownst to me for months before I found out about it. So in February, I'm just going along with life thinking, okay, well, my marriage is stressful, but it's because we're living in this environment. I kept telling my husband, we need to get out of here. We need to find a place to live. We were living on a tiny little island. There was no housing. Everything that we looked at, he kept telling me, no, we were looking at houses. This whole time we were looking at houses. And then at Christmas time, I have to back this one little step up, because at Christmas time, we got into a huge fight going to the airport to pick up his son, who was coming to stay with us for Christmas. And on the way there, I told my husband that if he didn't stop speaking to my daughter about our marriage, that I was going to get a divorce. I was setting a hard boundary. And he told me in the car that day that he would not stop speaking to my daughter about our relationship. He got out of the car, went into the airport. I stayed in the car because I was so mad at him. He immediately called my daughter on the phone and told her that I just threatened him with divorce. The two of them are talking about it, whatever happened. I made the decision right then and there that, I mean, I still was giving him chances, even though I told him the boundary was set, which was on me. So, of course, this behavior is going to continue. So February rolls around, and the two of them have to go on a 5-day work trip to Las Vegas. And her boyfriend and I stay behind at the house. And for 5 days, the two of them go with their boss and, you know, a couple other people to this convention in Las Vegas. And when they come home from that trip, my daughter is refusing to speak to me. Will not speak one word to me. She comes home from the airport with him, walks in, doesn't even say hello to me. I was washing the dishes. I'll never forget it. She walked right by me, went upstairs, didn't say anything to me, and then just went on a silent treatment. Like from here on out. This is in February. By March, she still isn't speaking to me, and I can't understand why. My husband is growing extremely distant. He's siding with her. He's telling me that I need to just conform, just do what she wants, so she'll stop treating you this way. There was nothing I was going to do that was ever going to satisfy her and start treating me right. So I tell him I'm going to go back to Idaho and I'm going to stay at our house for a couple weeks because they're doing all the renovation from the flood and everything. And we got an offer on our house and we were supposed to close on April 24th. And I'm going to go back to the house for 2 weeks. It's too stressful living in this environment. I'll sleep on a mattress on the floor and make sure my house is ready for the new homeowners when the time comes. You can fly out to Idaho a couple days before we get ready to close, sign the paperwork, and then we'll get our stuff and drive back to Virginia. So in the meantime, I've got a realtor. We're looking at homes. We're looking to buy property. And my husband and I are going and looking at these different houses. And he's telling me he really wants to build because he works for a custom home builder. So then we started looking for property. And so we're doing this like every single day. So he's been at his job long enough now to have health insurance, okay? So he gets health insurance, and he tells me he's going to call and get an appointment because he needs to get a checkup. He's going to be 57. He needs to get a checkup and a new doctor. So I'm like, okay, great. So he calls, makes an appointment. They do all the testing, whatever. And then I guess like a couple days later, I get a text message on my phone, and it's from the pharmacy in town. And it says my husband's name, and it says, you have a prescription ready. And I've worked in pharmacy my whole life, so I know how pharmacies operate. When I was at my daughter's house in August, I got some migraine medication filled at that pharmacy. And I guess when they got the prescription for him, they had my phone number. So they put my phone number in as his phone number. So I got the text notification that he had a prescription ready. So when I got home that day, I said, hey, I got a text that you had a prescription ready. And I said, I thought you said that everything went great and that you didn't need any testing or whatever. And he's like, oh, well, I don't know what they called in for me. And I said, what do you mean they don't know what they called in for you? That's not how it works. The doctor asks you if you want a prescription. They ask you what pharmacy you use. They ask you if you know the phone number. They tell you they're going to fax the prescription over. They're going to call it in or email it or whatever. And then they let you know that it's going to be at the pharmacy ready for you to pick up. So what do you mean you don't know he called something in for you? And he goes, well, I don't know. I'll have to call and find out. I'll have to call the pharmacy. And I said, okay. So, I waited for like a day. And then the next day I said to him, I said, hey, what did you call the pharmacy and figure out what was going on? And he goes, yeah, it turns out he called in a little blue pill prescription for my husband. And I said, why did he do that? Because we hadn't been having sex for like 6 months because we were living in my daughter's house. And I said, who is that for? What do you mean you've never had a problem with that before? What is this? And he goes, oh, well, I did ask for it because I just got it. I got it to make me feel better. I said, to make you feel better with who? Because you're not sleeping with me. So who is the prescription for? Husband? At this point, I point blank asked him if there was something going on between him and my daughter. Because she wanted her boyfriend out. They're working at the same company. They're going to work together at the same place. They're taking trips together. She's not speaking to me. He's not speaking to me. He's telling me he's refusing to stop involving my daughter, who's 28, and not his child, in our marriage while we're living in her house. And so, of course, everything that they're communicating, I'm the bad guy in the situation. So she's taking it all out on me. Pretty soon the two of them are just feeding off of each other. And then her poor boyfriend, he doesn't know what to do. I can tell that he feels so sorry for me, but he can't stop it. So it's like all these miserable people living in this house, So I'm like, I got to get out of here. Now this is going to go to a part 3. All right, so here we go with part 3. So at this point, it's March. And I'm ready to bounce. I've got to get out of this toxic environment. I'm going to go back to my house and make sure everything is copacetic with my home and sale of my property. So I drive myself back to Idaho, stay there for 2 weeks, getting all my stuff ready. Meanwhile, I'm thinking that my husband and I are going to buy some property. We're going to start building a home. I am still hoping that my marriage is going to survive this move and the situation with my daughter. And I'm thinking that maybe I can salvage my marriage if I get out from under her roof, okay? And just get back to focusing on me and my husband. So I get back to Idaho. I'm doing all this stuff with my house. I'm making sure that my brother's company is doing all the things that they're supposed to be doing and that my house is prepared and ready for the new owners. And so 4 days before we're supposed to close on my house, my husband flies into Boise, and I go to pick him up at the airport. And it was like 1:30 in the morning when his flight arrives. And I am so happy to see him. I'm so excited to see him because I'm like, oh my God, I finally have my husband here without my daughter around. We're going to be in our house. We can finally have some alone time. And so we get back home. Of course, we're intimate because we haven't seen each other for 2 weeks. Plus, we hadn't been being intimate because we were living with her. And so then the next day we get up, we're doing all the things. We go do some shopping. We have some lunch. We go to dinner. We're talking to the realtor about property. And then I'm thinking, okay, I can save this. I can save this marriage, right? Things are looking good. That night, second night, we're intimate again. We're really things are going really great. And then third night, we intimate again. We're getting ready to go to sleep. We got to wake up in the morning to go sign the closing on our house at noon at the title company. And so I think it was a Friday or a Thursday. I can't remember. But anyway, so And mind you, that night before that, I had been talking to the realtor. She sent me another home listing that she thought we might like. So then the next morning, the morning of the closing, it's like 6:15, and my husband and I are laying in bed, and I woke up and I felt him like staring at me. And I woke up and I like went like this, you know, because he was like literally up on his fist like this, laying in bed, just looking at me. And I said, what are you doing? What's going on? What's wrong? You know, why are you just staring at me? And he goes, do you remember when we first started dating, how we used to just lay on the chase and we would cuddle and stuff? Wasn't that just the best time? And I said, yeah, that was a pretty amazing time. He goes, I wish we could go back to that. And I said, yeah, well, you know, we can't. We're older. It's been almost 10 years since that, you know. So then he looks at me and he goes, I have to tell you something. And mind you, it's 6:15 in the morning. And I said, what? And he goes, I talked to a lawyer. And I said, about what? And he said, a divorce. And I said, what do you mean? We had just been looking at houses. We'd just been intimate for 2 or whatever, 3 nights. Like, you were just telling me how amazing that everything was going to be. And I just looked right at him and I said, have you told my daughter this? And he didn't answer me. And I said, did you tell my daughter that you saw a lawyer? And he said, yes. He told my daughter several weeks before that he had got an attorney about a divorce. And so yeah, she knew about it before I did. And I still didn't know the extent of their relationship, and I still don't. And I'm never going to say that something sexual happened because I can't prove that. All I know is what happened to me and what it looks like. Whether they had a sexual relationship or not, they had an emotional relationship. They worked together to smear me, to ruin me, to isolate me, to triangulate me, to smear my name. Not only to my friends and family, but to my clients, to people around town. They ruined my ability to work. They got me put in a mental hospital when I started telling my story. And every single thing that they said to the authorities was based off of my TikTok videos. It wasn't based off any interaction with me whatsoever. So no, I don't know if they were sexual with each other. And I'll never know that. And I never want to know that. But you better know right now that there isn't a day that goes by that that thought isn't in my head. Not one. You believe her? Good. Go do that. Guess what? She has a platform. You should go to her platform and you should ask her for her side of the story. You should ask her to tell her side of the story. And he has a platform too. One dedicated to being the ex-husband of a covert narcissist, where all he does is post videos about living with a narcissistic partner. So, you want to believe my daughter? You feel free to do that all day long and all night. Meanwhile, I'll be over here living my existence because after I woke up with the realization that my husband wants a divorce, I also realized that I have to drive 4 days back to Virginia with this man because I don't have anywhere to live. And all my things, half my things are in Virginia. He apparently had found us an apartment that we were going to move into when we got back there. So I'm in my mind ready to drive back to Virginia to still continue to try to make this marriage work with this man. We get to Nebraska We're driving separate cars because we had to pull a car and we had a U-Haul, and then I had, my truck. I had to drive my truck back. So we had to drive separate, thank God, or there's no way I would have survived that. But we get to Nebraska, and I had an absolute nervous breakdown because I realized halfway back there that there's no way my marriage is going to survive this. And I pulled over in the gas station, and I cried for 4 hours in the parking lot while he sat in the car behind me on his phone. He couldn't even be bothered to come in and talk about it, to tell me what was going on, to tell me why he wanted a divorce, to tell me what was going on with my daughter, to tell me why he refused to stop having a relationship with my daughter, to stop communicating with my daughter about me and my marriage, to stop trying to ruin my name with my daughter to my friends and my family. I was still willing to try to make it work with this man. Can you believe this shit? So we get back to Virginia. My daughter was in Louisiana. She'd flown down for her friend's graduation, so she wasn't there the day that we got back. We got back on a Monday, I think. And he and I were moving our stuff out of her place into an apartment 1 block away. And it was taking forever because we were doing it by hand because we were walking everything back and forth. And now I have to go to a part 4. So part 4... when my daughter finally does come back, we're walking back and forth to get our things, and I get to her house to go up and get another box out of my office, and she's standing at the door. And she slams the door, comes outside, and asks me, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm getting my things out of your house. It's obvious you don't want me here. My husband and I are going to go move into this apartment, and, you can rent out your room to whoever, whatever." She goes, "You're not coming in my house. You're not welcome in my house." I mean, there was nothing I could do. We'd been living there. She refused to give me a lease to prove that we were legal residents. We couldn't get driver's licenses or bank accounts because we weren't legal residents there. She never even gave us a key to her house. So basically, she held all my things hostage and locked me out. And the last thing I said to her was, "You'll regret this." And I walked off. And I've never spoken to her since. She held all of my things hostage. She told me that the only person who could come in and get my business things, my art supplies, my whole business studio was my husband. He could come in. He could come in and get my things, but I couldn't. So, on top of him working a full 60-hour-a-week job, now it's his responsibility to take care of my business because she's going to decide what our life looks like. So I go back to the apartment. I'm telling myself we're going to live in this little 900 square foot cockroach infested apartment after we just sold a $500,000 house back in Idaho. This is what's happened. My daughter and my husband have created this giant monster of hate, and neither one of them can get away from it. So 2 days in the apartment with my husband, I said, "I'm not doing this anymore. I don't want to be with you anymore. You got an attorney, you saw an attorney, call the attorney and tell them to go ahead and send me the paperwork. We'll split the proceeds of the sale of our house," which we did. The real estate company gave us each half of a check for $155,000 each. I didn't at that time even know the extent. I found all this out after. At the time when I signed the paperwork and we split the money, I didn't know any of this. I found out so many things about my husband since we split the money that I can't even talk to you guys about. I tell my husband that I'm going to take our little 17-foot camper and our Toyota Tacoma. Both things were in his name, but we were married, so they were considered marital property. He had a work truck, so he told me I could take the one truck that we had and the camper, and I was going to go live in the camper on the campground because there was no housing to speak of. I still didn't have steady income. We had just moved there. I'm self-employed. I couldn't have rented a place if I wanted to financially at that time. So I take the truck and I take the camper and we take it over to the campground. He helps me get it all set up. We both agree that this marriage isn't working. We're going to go our separate ways. It was very amicable. I decided I was going to buy my own truck and trailer because I needed something bigger for me. So I went and did that. I returned his truck and trailer to him with a very nice note with the keys telling him where his things were parked and that I hope he finds what he's looking for, and I wish him the best. And I lived in this camper, the first one, when I started this journey. We're recording it with you guys. It was around my birthday, May 27th. Still to this day, it's been almost a year. The end of this month will be a year. My daughter has not reached out to me one time, has never spoken to me. In fact, started trolling me and harassing me and stalking me on my TikTok videos, which I have proof of. And then, so I signed up for a wellness retreat in Oregon in July. From May to July, I sat in this camper and cried myself to sleep every fucking night because neither one of the two of them reached out to me, which to me, all it did was cement what I was feeling inside. And oh, by the way, the second night or whatever after I was living in the camper, we had an agreement set up with our animals, and I went to return my animals to his apartment, and he wasn't home, but he was at my daughter's house. So even though I had moved out, we were getting a divorce, he was still communicating and having a relationship with her. So I just washed my hands of it and said, well, I guess this is what it's going to be. I'm going to get a divorce. I don't know what's going to happen with them. They're going to do whatever they're going to do. I don't care. I don't want to know about it. I already have bad nightmares and visions in my mind of what I envision went on, but I'll never be able to prove it. Or maybe one day I'll find out. I don't know. So, fast forward to July, and I decided I was going to leave my camper in Virginia and I was going to drive to Oregon to the wellness retreat. And then I was going to spend the summer going to all the places on my bucket list to try to heal from this. And I did that alone. For 9 weeks, I slept in the back of my truck and I drove through 17 states and put 7,000 miles on my truck and did my best to forget the both of them. And then when I got back to Virginia to sign my paperwork, I had to go over to my storage unit where all my things were from our life together and clean it out because he left me with that responsibility. As men do. They just pick up and go start a new life somewhere and leave you to clean up their bullshit. And when I got in that storage unit, I was so angry when I started looking at all the family pictures. All the years that I wasted on a man who did nothing but lie to me and ruin my relationship with everybody that I care about, including my children. And I destroyed everything in that storage unit. And I recorded it and I made a TikTok video. And my daughter, believe it or not, was the first one to call the police. Because, see, she'd been stalking me. You know, they'd both been viewing my videos all summer. So she was the first one to call the police, and then he called the police. And then the police showed up at my camper to tell me that they were arresting me. And, but they weren't going to take me to jail because it was a civil matter, not a criminal matter. And the sheriff told me that he urged my husband not to press charges because the case would get thrown out, but he didn't care. He wanted me arrested. So the police showed up at my camper that night at I don't even know what time it was, 9 o'clock or something, and told me that they weren't going to arrest me, that they were going to, that I needed to show up for court, which I said, okay, great. And then I made a TikTok video about how I didn't get arrested. And when I did that, my husband and my daughter decided that it'd be fun to go to the magistrate's office and complain and file a complaint that I'm a danger to myself and to society and to them, and that they think I need a mental health evaluation. That was at 10:30 at night. So the next day, it was a Thursday afternoon, I'm sitting in my camper just minding my own business. At 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I get a knock at the door, and it's 2 sheriffs. And they tell me that they're here to take me to the hospital for a mental health evaluation, and that if I don't go with them, I'm going to go to jail. So now I'm close to a part 5, which I can't even believe this, but this is the story, you guys. I mean, and I still have like 8 months to go of shit to tell you after the mental hospital. But this is the last 12 months of my life. I mean, it's going to be a Netflix movie, okay? It just is. So I just got home and I've had a horrific day. And I realized today that I have allowed these 2 people to pull me right back into their games. And they are waiting for me to reveal what I have because they're fucking scared. They are absolutely terrified right now because they don't know what I have, and I'm going to keep it that way. I came to the realization tonight that I have, for the last 5 days, listened to people call me horrible names. Bad mother, bad wife. I've had people tell me that this is my fault and that I'm crazy and I deserve this somehow. Which is fine, you know. I've given so much information already, you know. I've given so much information already, and I don't need to sit here and listen to people tell me that I'm fucking crazy when I've given you so much already. I am fully prepared to go forward with my civil lawsuit against these 2 people, the state of Virginia, everybody who touched this fucking case. And I was just sitting here going through all of the paperwork again. And I will share one thing with you. Both my husband's name and my daughter's name is on this form. Reason for referral. Melaine was served an ECO after she was posting multiple videos depicting her decompensating behavior. Melaine was seen destroying marital property inside of a storage unit on TikTok. Every single thing that they talk about in these forms are my TikTok videos. They're not for being in any kind of communication with me. My daughter specifically said right here that I have a history of bipolar disorder, which is not true. And the fact that they took my daughter's advice, who's a 28-year-old adult, without having any medical history on me whatsoever is absolutely mind-boggling. History of treatment with psychiatric medication? No. In a state hospital? No. In a crisis stabilization unit? No. On no medications, no health issues, only asthma. Is there a prior episode of psychosis? No. Is the person showing symptoms of psychosis? No. Melaine is a newly divorced 52-year-old Caucasian female who looks her stated age. She was brought in under an ECO today after her ex-husband and her daughter expressed concern for her safety. Melaine has been posting numerous videos on social media depicting a spiraling of her mental state in the last several weeks. Melaine has been estranged from her daughter for several months, per the daughter's report, due to Melaine's erratic and sometimes violent behavior. Ma'am, are you fucking for real right now, daughter? Be so fucking for real. Her daughter alerted Melaine's ex-husband last night that Melaine had gone into a shared storage unit and had smashed many of his belongings, all while recording it for TikTok. Melaine states that her ex-husband told her he wanted to divorce her. She then bought herself an RV and drove across the country in hopes of changing his mind. Once here, she signed the papers and then proceeded to destroy his things. The videos depict manic and depressive behavior as Melaine has gained quite a following. Many of her followers are cheering her on as she rediscovers herself. This was my most favorite part, though, and I just discovered this tonight. Right here on the notification sheet, where the family who calls in this mental health evaluation request, attempt to obtain person's agreement or objection to legally required notifications. Daughter will be contacted with information directly relevant to their involvement with the person's health care, including their location and general condition. And guess what? My daughter objected. She objected to the hospital letting her know where they were taking me. She objected to being notified of any kind of treatment. She fucking objected. So let's get mom locked up in the mental hospital because she started telling what we're trying to keep secret. Guess what, sweetie? Those fucking days are over. This right here that you did to me ruined my life. Do you understand? You've caused me long-term PTSD. You've caused this to be on my permanent record. You made lies about me, about my mental capacity. You claimed that you were worried about my safety with my husband. Both of you so worried about my safety, but yet you refused to be notified of anything. And neither one of you liars had the fucking balls to call the facility that I was in, to check on me while I was there for 7 days, to fucking come and pick me up. You know how I got home from the mental hospital that was 3 hours from my house? I had to wait for hospital transportation. My family, who was so worried about my safety, just had to get me evaluated, so concerned that I'm going to harm myself. Well, they got me locked up, and then they bounced. So that's all I'm going to tell you guys. And, you know, I don't know when I'm going to make another video because I don't have to justify shit to anybody on this app. I know what I went through. I know what was done to me. And I have fucking proof right here. So I hope you're ready for court on Monday, husband. I can't wait to see your face.
She's talking about her mom, Korean family, and she's explaining how she grew up with a mother who had to control everything. And she gives you the why right away. Her grandfather was a violent drunk. Her mom was the middle daughter and took the worst of the abuse. So she grew up with zero power over her own life. And when you grow up with zero power, you spend the rest of your life making sure nobody can take it from you again. That's just how that works. But here's the moment that got me. She leaves her 3-year-old daughter with her mom for the evening, comes back home, and her baby, who is still learning to talk, looks up at her and says, "Harmony was mean to me." Now, most people in that moment might second guess themselves right. She's 3. She probably just got told no about something. Kids say things, but this woman knew. She knew because she grew up with that woman. So she asks her mom directly, "Were you mean to her?" And her mom goes bright-eyed, completely innocent looking. "No, I don't even know why she's saying that." And then when the little girl keeps trying to explain through broken 3-year-old words that her grandma got angry when a toy broke, the grandmother points her finger at this baby and says she's lying at a 3-year-old, your own grandchild. And I thought about that for a long time, because what just happened in that room is that a little girl learned for the first time that the adults around her will deny her reality to her face. That is one of the most damaging things you can do to a child. Not yelling, not even the silent treatment she gave the baby after the toy broke. It's the denial. It's being told that what you felt didn't happen. And the mother recognized it immediately because her mom used to give her the silent treatment for 2 months over small things. Dyeing her hair, not passing a class she failed, by the way, because her mom made her work instead of study and then turned around and called her stupid for failing. Her mom has always had her own version of every story where she is never the problem. That's the cycle right there in one evening. And this woman caught it. She protected her daughter, and she's choosing to make sure her daughter grows up knowing the truth about who her grandmother is, rather than being blindsided later. That's not petty. That is a mother doing her job. I'm going to tell you what she said, and I need you to read every word slowly. She was 3 years old when her father murdered her mother and her 2 sisters. He did not go to jail immediately. He took her and her brother, put them in the van with the bodies of their mother and sisters, drove from California to Las Vegas, and buried them in the desert. She lived with that man for 8 more years before he was arrested. 8 years. The bodies were eventually found when a water plant was being built on that land. Her mom and sisters came in as Jane Does because at the time nobody had reported 3 Asian women missing. A cold case in California eventually connected everything. That's how they found them. She talked about finally getting a memorial. The foster family she was placed with helped her and her brother have a service. Detectives from California and Las Vegas came, and eventually her foster family bought gravestones so that her mom and her 2 sisters could go from Jane Doe, and Jane Doe to Edith, Luce, and Gabby. I stopped breathing for a second when she said that, because that, right there, 3 women finally having their names on a stone, that is the bare minimum of what a human being deserves. And even getting to that bare minimum took years and tragedy and the goodness of strangers. Now she's 36. She went back to Vegas last month with her own kids to visit the graves, and the stones are deteriorating. Sun damage. 2 of them, you can barely read the names. So she tries to do the right thing. She calls the cemetery, she does her research, she gets on a FaceTime call with a guy named Zachary who walks her to the plot. And then she finds out the county owns the plot, and the gravestones are legally under her estranged foster parents' names. So now she has to go through people she hasn't had a real relationship with in years just to replace her murdered mother's gravestone. And she laughed. She genuinely laughed telling this part of the story. Not because any of it is funny, but because what else do you do when your life has looked like this from the age of 3 and the world keeps finding new ways to make you prove you have the right to your own grief? She said it herself. Her life has never been her own. She has never had rights to anything. That sentence is going to stay with me for a long time. Not her siblings, not her aunts or uncles or cousins. Nobody. And she explains why. Her grandmother spent decades gossiping and creating division between family members, pitting cousins against each other, keeping everyone at war so she could stay at the center. And she did all of this while going to church every Sunday. And then she tells you the story that ended everything. Her grandmother told the whole family that someone had left a nasty letter on her doorstep. No name on it. But she said, and I want you to catch this, she said the Holy Spirit told her that it was this woman who wrote it. And the whole family believed her. And this woman lost relationships over that lie. Spent years being treated like the villain of a story she had no part in. 12 years later, 2 years ago, after the grandmother had already passed, a cousin finally admitted there was never a letter. It never existed. Her grandmother made it up. 12 years of being the accused, of family estrangement, of carrying something that was never true. Now I understand why she frames all of this in spiritual terms. The curses, the generational darkness, the deliberate blocking. When someone causes that level of coordinated damage over that many years and uses religion as the weapon to do it, you need a framework that matches the scale of what happened to you. Psychology language doesn't always reach the places that spiritual language does for some people. And the specific thing she's describing, an elder using perceived spiritual authority to control and harm while the family protects that elder's image, that is a real and painful dynamic that doesn't get talked about enough, especially in Black families where grandmothers are often held as untouchable. She's not confused. She's not dramatic. She found her way out, and she is not apologizing for it. These stories were extreme. It's that underneath every specific detail, they are all saying the same thing. Nobody protected me, so I had to learn to protect myself. The first woman had a mother who chose her need for control over her own grandchild's feelings. The second woman had a father who did the unthinkable, and then a system that took nearly a decade to respond, and then a lifetime of bureaucracy that still won't let her grieve in peace. The third woman had a grandmother who ran her family on fear and fabrication and never once faced any real consequence for it. And all three of them are still here, still talking, still raising their kids and visiting graves and setting boundaries and laughing when they have to. We throw the word resilience around like it's a compliment. But sometimes resilience is just what survival looks like when the people who were supposed to show up didn't. It's not a gift. It's what's left. These three women didn't go looking for hard lives. The lives found them. And what they chose to do with it, speak it out loud on camera to strangers, is one of the most quietly courageous things I think a person can do. Because someone watching needed to hear that their family being the source of the wound doesn't mean something is wrong with them. It means they're telling the truth about something most people are too afraid to say out loud. Sonnet 4.6, Adaptive.